We're at Quincy Homestead today, and this was the grandest estate in the 17th and 18th centuries in Quincy. It was the oldest part, which I'm right in front of here, was built in 1686. It was 2 rooms, one above the other, and when you go inside you can still see the original beams holding it up and the girts and the whole structure of it. Then a little later, in 1706, the son of the builder of this house, who was actually the 3rd Quincy living on this property here, built quite an expansion of 4 rooms, 2 up, 2 down, with a central hall to turn it to a colonial, and that is around in that direction. And it was added onto again in the mid-18th century, and then there were a few refinements in the mid to late 19th century. So it's a house that shows about 300 years of evolution of architecture here. The Quincy family lived here for 5 generations, sold it just before the Revolutionary War era. A fascinating house to visit for both the stories of the Quincy family that were here and for the evolution of the construction of the house. Edmund Quincy I was one of the first settlers of this area, which of course was Braintree's son. In 1686 wanted a bigger house and built the original 2-room version here. His son, Edmund III, inherited the house. He was very much involved in politics. He was a colonel in the Suffolk militia. He was part of the House of Representatives and the royal governing bodies in Boston, and he used this house mostly as a spring, summer, fall retreat, and lived in the city in the winter. He became a justice and then Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. His son, Edmund IV, was very much a merchant, lived in Boston, and with his brother Josiah Quincy and a brother-in-law, Edward Jackson, had a successful business, and they captured a Spanish galleon which had treasure amounting to something like $300,000, which gave them enough wealth to retire at that point. And Edmund came out here, became more interested in his horticultural interests. He was not a very good investor, so he eventually had to give up this house, but for 15 to 16 years during Dorothy, his youngest daughter's life, who was Dorothy Quincy, they were out here. Dorothy married John Hancock later on, so that is another connection of the Quincy family to the people who were leading the revolution at the time. We're open this year for 8 different Saturday afternoons, 1 or 2 a month between now and October 1st. Our tours are free of charge. We do appreciate donations when we get them, but we really enjoy just showing off this jewel of a house to the people who come by. It was rescued from a plan to demolish it and subdivide the property in 1904. The dames and parts of the Quincy family and the Quincy community saved it and then sold it to the Commonwealth for half what they'd paid. Then we hired an early architectural historian, Joseph Everett Chandler, to come in and figure out how it could be preserved and what it should look like. And he chose to put it back to about the way it was in the middle part of the 18th century.